The Food Safety Modernization Act Produce Safety Rule requires all agricultural water to be safe and sanitary quality for its intended use. Water used for pre-harvest practices and that will be in direct contact with the edible portion of the raw agricultural commodity should meet the generic E. coli requirements as proposed in the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency's 2012 Recreational Water Quality Criteria Standard. The frequency and number of samples varies depending on the source of the water, with higher number of samples required for surface water sources such as ponds, canals, and rivers, and fewer samples from well water. Proper sampling and handling techniques in transportation are required to accurately determine the water quality. Contact your laboratory several days prior to sampling. The laboratory you are sending samples for testing usually provide pre-sterilized containers and other sampling supplies, instructions, and record-keeping forms. Proper collection and reliable record-keeping are essential. Tracking and properly identifying sample locations are as important as water collection. Make sure to label the sample containers. Labeling should include 1. The location of the sampling site, date, and time of sampling. 2. Sample code or sample number. 3. Initials or name of the person who took the sample. 4. Type of analysis, and 5. Any other information requested by the laboratory. This information should be written on a waterproof label, which should be securely affixed on the sample container. The same information must also be recorded on the water sampling recording sheet. Keep records of all collected samples and a key for sample identification. Complete a chain of custody record form, which will help to keep track of the sample and any mishandling of the sample. The first step should be to contact the lab performing the analysis to determine if a special specimen cup or bottle provided by the lab is needed. Make sure both parties understand and know what type of microbial testing is needed and what are the general requirements for collecting a water sample. Only sterile sampling containers should be used. Most labs provide a 100 milliliter container with a snap lid or a screw cap lid. Mark the vessel with the following information: date, time, location, name of the person collecting the sample, storage conditions of the sample, test method, and sample code. This should correspond to a specific location from where you collected the sample. Use sterile single-use gloves to collect the sample. Make sure your hands are never immersed in the water, touching the rim of the lid or the container, and avoid placing the lid face down and in contact with dirty surfaces. Make sure you have prepared a clean, insulated cooler that will keep the sample below 10 degrees Celsius during storage and transport.